Welcome to Araxis Global Network, the premier voice of objective reporting, covering the events that affect your world, your life, and your PlanetSide 2 news and information. We cover what it means to be a PlanetSide 2 fan. You love the game, you will love the AGN. We are your #1 source of all things PlanetSide 2, featuring spot-on and up-to-date updates. Yes, we said up-to-date updates that will promise to whet your appetite for PlanetSide 2 news. Will you find cutting-edge information as well as breaking news screenshots on AGN? Does a pole dancer have thighs that can crush your head? Yes. And now, introducing your distinguished hosts, your friends and fellow PlanetSide 2 groupies, Hamma and
Jennyboo. Hello everybody, Hamma here from the Araxis Global Network and PlanetSide-Universe.com, and welcome to a episode of AGN Squad Beacon. And we're coming to you live at a more reasonable hour for our European viewers, because, well, what do we usually air over there at some ridiculous hour, and poor Basti falls asleep live on the air, and it's kind of awkward for all of us. So we figured we'd do things a little bit different.
Give a little
this time
EU
around.
love.
Indeed. I am joined here, as always, by Jennyboo.
Hi everyone, welcome to our stream. I'm watching the chat, so if you have we have a chance to get into any questions. I'll be watching and maybe showing some gameplay footage.
Yes, indeed.
So.
We have the ability to show gameplay footage if so required. So that'll definitely be something we'll probably do. And thank you everybody for tuning in. We are definitely we're trying something a little bit different this time around in terms of configuration. So if you see anything wrong, can't hear anything, whatever, let us know in chat. We'll go ahead and fix it. But we should be good to go. Been doing.
I want to do
testing,
a shout out to our man from ReachCast. Torx got married this week.
Yes, he did.
And from the Twitterverse, T-Ray got married today.
Indeed.
So congratulations to both those guys.
Absolutely.
Make sure to give them a shout out on Twitter and wish them, happy nuptials.
Happy nuptials. That sounds fancy. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Yeah, that's a surprise. Nobody was expecting T-Ray to get married. It's just random. Just a random Twitter announcement. So that's pretty cool. So congrats to him, and definitely congrats to Torx as well. He'd probably be here if he wasn't off getting married. So I guess that's a good excuse not to be on the show. So anyway...
Congratulations to Mrs. T-Ray.
Yes, congratulations to Mrs. T-Ray. I'm not sure if she's a fan of the Mrs. T-Ray name, but...
You get used to it.
All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I was going to talk a little bit about your streaming, but you haven't been streaming recently. You've been slacking off.
I've been taking a break.
Yeah.
What?
Higby's shaking his head at you, and he's not even on video yet.
I know, but you can still check out our, what are we calling it, Field Report, AGN Field Report,
Absolutely.
right on this channel.
Mm-hmm.
If you're following it, we'll tweet and message you when I go live. And that's
Absolutely.
usually during the day.
Yep, and we occasionally give away dog tags, so keep an eye out for that too. We still have plenty. All right, we're going to go ahead and move right in here, and we've got our special guest here. Let me go ahead and bring up the audio so when he starts talking, you can actually hear him. That would also be very nice. We've got our special guest here. Matt Higby is joining us for the show here today. Hello, Matt. Oh, you're still quiet. Hold on. Complete and utter silence. I think you might have your microphone muted. Huh? What? Huh? Can somebody else talk real quick and we can see if it's me or if it's him?
Testing. 1, 2, 3.
I bet he's fucking with you.
I bet he is. He's messing with me.
Yep.
He's trolling.
Yeah.
He's trolling, isn't he? He's laughing.
Sorry.
Oh, man. He's trolling my stream. Anyway, welcome to the show again. It's been a while.
Yeah. It's good to be here. Very good to be here, as always, as usual.
Indeed. We're happy to have you, and it should be a pretty cool show. It's kind of a wide open broadcast. Should be interesting to see how things go. So,
Word.
Indeed. So I guess we'll start off, and it's been almost 6 months since release, or has it been 6 months, or pretty close, somewhere around there.
Yeah, it's been over 6 months.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It really snuck up on me. I think it snuck up on most of us around here, actually. Someone, I don't know. It was maybe 2 weeks ago that we hit our 6-month anniversary, and someone was like, "Hey, happy 6-month anniversary!" And I was like, "What the hell are you talking about?" Oh shit! Seriously? 6 months already? It definitely doesn't feel like it's been that long, but
Yeah.
I guess the calendar doesn't lie. It must have been.
It went by crazy fast, that's for sure. And I'm sure it went by even faster for you guys than it did for us. So,
yeah, I mean, we've kind of just been nose to the grindstone this entire time, trying to, get the next update out. And, after a few of those, suddenly it's been 6 months. So.
Right, indeed. So I guess we'll start off talking about that. So what are some of the things that you guys have learned kind of since launch, and how do you feel, I guess, 6 months after release about the game?
I feel like we're moving it into a better and better place with every update. I think we're getting to the point now where our updates are going a lot smoother. The amount of downtime that they take is a lot less. The number of bugs that are getting introduced is a lot less. I think we're getting much better at delivering content that's kind of exactly what players are looking for and people are excited about. You saw with our most recent update, like the helmets that we released, it seems like people are a lot more excited about them, kind of what we were doing previously with cosmetics. The Harasser getting released, it seems like people are really stoked on. The previous update before this was we added a lot of features that people had been asking for, like the some of those map features and a lot of the stuff with the loadout screen, being able to see the stats on the weapons, stuff like that. So really just refining a lot of areas of the game that we think people are asking for us to fix and asking for us to change, and that's just going to continue to be what we do. Mm-hmm. So I'm happy about where we are. I really am.
Cool.
I think that we have a ton of room to grow still, but that makes me happy too. I like that we're never really run out of cool stuff to add to the game.
Right. So is there anything like crazy that you guys discovered since release that you didn't think was going to happen, or something players did that you were totally unexpected, or anything like that?
There's a lot of interesting things that happen. We're always looking at different ways that people play the game in different areas, causing problems on some servers that aren't on others. Population balance issues are really severe on some servers, but not too bad on others. The idea of certain types of gameplay, like certain servers have really uncoordinated gameplay, and certain servers have extremely well-coordinated gameplay. And that just makes the game very different on those servers. It's almost like you're playing two separate games. And that's challenging for us because we have to make changes that support the entirety of the game, not just problems that people are seeing on Mattherson that don't exist on Cirrus or whatever. So it's cool. It's a constant challenge and a constant need to figure out interesting solutions to complex problems, and that's exciting. It's fun.
Cool. So I guess what are your thoughts on where we're going from here? Like what's coming up in the next few months, and what are some of the things you guys are working on?
Well, I mean, a lot of what we're working on right now you guys can see on public test, and of course I always want to try to encourage as many people as possible to go on to public test and check out the server and help us refine things on there. The public test server's done a lot for us, not just for stability, making sure that the updates that we're releasing are stable, but also in terms of being able to figure out what the gameplay ramifications are before we put things live. We made a decision really kind of last week to not put the max abilities that we've been working on live this week, based purely on feedback we were getting from public test and balance data that we were getting from public test. Whenever we're working on something like that that's just this asymmetrical gameplay change, making sure that we're releasing something that's really good across every single one of the empires is super important. So the public test server is really helping us out a lot with that. And of course we're testing like some of the battle flow changes, the rush lane changes, or lattice changes, depending on what kind of nomenclature you want to use. We're testing that on there. That's one of the big things that we're working on. Some people also on public test were able to see briefly a tutorial that we've been building. That's another big area of the game that we're working on, is not only new player experience, but also getting players into the game and understanding how the game works a little bit better, smoothing out the learning curve a little. So as new people are getting in, they're more easily able to understand what it is about PlanetSide that's so exciting, instead of being sort of hit over the head with the parts that are frustrating. Those are really huge kind of objectives for us to be meeting over the next couple months, and you'll see a lot of changes and features that we're adding that are directly for those kind of players.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right. Awesome. So
yep.
Yep.
It is awesome.
Awesome.
Yep.
So I guess on the esports front, do you guys have anything else interesting going on there? Have you, like, how is work commencing on that sort of stuff?
Pretty well, actually. So the way that we're handling a lot of the stuff that we're building for esports is to make sure that we're building stuff in a way that it can be used to help the actual base game. What we want to make sure that we do is we don't spend a whole bunch of time and development effort creating systems that only a very small subset of players ever really get to experience. So, for example, when we're creating some of the esports maps that we're making, we're doing it with the idea that these are eventually going to get integrated into the overall kind of macro game experience. There's new Battle Island continents that everybody can go play on and everybody can practice on, and those same continents are used for the esports, rather than us just creating these instance maps that nobody else ever gets to see. So we're building a lot with that in mind. And a lot of the backbone for how the esports is going to work is going to be based on metagame gameplay systems similar to the alert system. And the alert system, with some tweaks, basically provides a match handling system for an esport too. So by adding new functionality to that, we get new alert types that we can build throughout the entire game that everybody can take advantage of. So I'm really happy with the way that we're sort of tackling the development of the esports features. And you guys will get to start seeing more of that stuff. Hopefully later this year, we should start seeing some of it, but we're not really trying to rush it in. We want it to be really cool when we release it, rather than super rushed. So,
Cool.
At the very least, you'll start to see the sort of the side benefits of some of the things that we're developing for esports, like the better observer camera modes and things like that. Those of you guys who watch Friday Night Ops will start being able to see those features on those type of shows a little bit sooner. And some of you guys who have access to those observer cams will be able to use some of those features in your own broadcasts and stuff.
Awesome.
So,
yeah, I've noticed that is that's kind of cutting edge development on the observer cam that a lot of people don't get to see. There's always something going on with that. It's always a new feature being added, or something breaks randomly, and none of that stuff's in the patch notes. So we just log in every time there's a patch and look at the observer cam and see if anything's changed or broken or anything with it. So
yeah, we changed the way it handled quite a bit actually in GU8. So it shouldn't be as like wobbly and bouncy as it was before. When you run into stuff, it kind of freaked out.
Yeah.
And that was just nauseating when you were watching people try to move around with the observer cam.
Yeah, you'd go inside and you just kind of like start jumping around and flipping. That was actually the worst
There are
part.
some bugs with the current version, but we've let them know.
I kind of passed that along. But yeah, like maneuvering inside was kind of the worst thing.
Right.
It was just jump all around, but it's just gotten way better. So I can't wait to see where you guys go with it, and maybe be able to lock onto players and show their health and all sorts of neat stuff like that. I'm looking forward to that, so.
Exactly, right. Yeah, we have a lot of features like that identified, which should certainly help. I mean, obviously the biggest challenge with PlanetSide, both in terms of getting new players in and understanding it, but also in terms of a viewership experience, is just contextualizing all of the crazy stuff that's happening, because it's so far beyond what normal people's understanding of an FPS game is.
Right.
That it's just extremely challenging. And I think a lot of what we're working on right now is to try to ease people into that experience better, whether that's creating an observer cam that helps contextualize the action you're seeing on the screen better, or creating new player experiences that are better for new players coming in to be able to sort of understand what they're doing and how they can affect the massive scale of the combat better than they can right now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's exciting stuff.
Indeed.
For the observer cam people.
Yeah, for those of us who are fortunate enough to have access to
all four of you.
Yeah, all four of us are just like drooling over it. Everybody else is like, damn it, I want to be able to have access to that. But it is really cool, and it's neat to see that starting to come together. So I know it's a big part of making sure that esports is even worth watching, because without a good observer or anything like that, then it's kind of pointless.
Exactly.
So, all right, awesome. So let's go ahead and start introducing our community guests here. And, we've got somebody on here who hasn't been on in a while, and I feel like I should probably introduce him
With
first.
true tradition, right?
This is the way we always do. So we have Basti back once again, joining us on the AGN. Boo.
Wait, what?
You're always
What?
first,
Huh?
Basti.
Fuck.
Say hello to everybody.
Hello, Basti. PlanetSide player since 2004, 5, or whatever. Most of the time with Vanu Corp. These days playing on Miller. Again with Vanu Corp. And bombing Tram and the stupid NC Alliance to shit whenever we can.
Nice. So you guys will notice that Basti is actually visible this time.
Yes, everybody's like, no disco lights?
They're
What's
like, oh
going
my god,
on?
I can see Basti. I
What are
know
you
what he
talking
looks
about?
like. Oh, and he just ruined it for all of us. All right, so moving right along. Oh, here we go. Nice. Now we get a little bit of a club scene going on in there, rocking out. All right. All right.
Next, please.
Next up, we have Noxx joining us from the ReachCast Show. Go ahead
What's
and say
up?
hello.
How's it going?
It goes.
It goes. I guess, yeah, I do the ReachCast Show. I play PlanetSide mostly on Connery lately, a bit on Watterson with the TR, Connery's NC Double Dogs, and Imperial Reach for the TR. Vanu, I haven't really gotten attached to an outfit yet, so
That's fine.
It's
They're not really
understandable.
important at all.
no. Who cares about them?
As,
Right.
as most of our
Right,
panel
almost
is Vanu
everybody in
players.
here is exactly. Almost everybody in here is Vanu. All right. Well, thanks for joining us.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
And next up, we have robocpf, who's been on the show a couple times before. Go ahead and say hello.
Hey everyone, it's Robo here. Ghost of the Revolution, Mattherson, playing since 2006. Glad to be on the show again. Happy to be here, Hamma.
Awesome. Thanks for coming back on again.
Sure, anytime.
And last but not least, we have RoyAwesome joining us here on the show.
How's it going, guys? I'm Roy. I lead test outfit on Mattherson. I also do a bunch of stuff on Reddit. So, glad to be back on the show.
Awesome. Your second time on, I believe, right?
Yeah, it would have been my third, but I slept through the first time, so
Oh yeah, that's right.
yeah.
Fail. Cool. Well, thanks for coming back on. So a lot of folks will notice that we kind of have a slightly, we don't have quite as many people as we usually do. That's just simply because we know that this is going to be a show that is going to be just off the hook. so
Well,
to
we
speak.
haven't done a show in a while, so we have a lot of content to
Absolutely.
cover.
Absolutely. So if
Just
you
a
are, go ahead.
Reminder in the channel: if anyone in this in the chat channel or in the PlanetSide community wants to be on one of our shows, make sure to check out the sign up information. Hamma always posted on the PlanetSide Universe forums. And if you don't know what the PlanetSide Universe forums are, then you're a noob. So
She just called half of our viewer base noobs.
get on PlanetSide Universe. Check out ReachCastShow.com. Go to the official forums as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's all about
if
community.
you dare.
If you dare.
But but anyway, so yeah, if you guys have anything you want to talk about or have any questions in chat, I'm sure that Higby's watching it as well, and I know all of us are. So, if you've got anything you want to talk about, or if you've got a question or something, just throw it out there, and we'll try and we can't pick out everything, but we'll certainly pick out some
I mean,
things.
Higby's more than welcome to watch a chat and anything he feels he can field an answer to.
Just start yelling.
Go for it.
Just start yelling, man. That's how we roll here. All right, so let's go ahead and get started here, and I'm going to go a little out of order for what we have on our document, but I want to jump right into GU08 because that's kind of the most recent thing, and talk a little bit about that and what everybody's thoughts are on it and how they feel about it and the features that were added. Is it a good update overall? We'll just go with that. And,
I like the harasser a lot.
Yeah, I think most of us are probably going to agree on that, I'm guessing. So what do you guys think on that? We'll start with you, Roy. I've already got you up on the screen, so no pressure.
All right. I like the harasser. Test outfit has been pulling almost exclusively harassers, and it's really funny to see like 30 harassers just driving across Esamir or stuff like that. So it's got a little bit of bugs, like you can shoot the passenger in the back with the secondary gun, which is also really funny, and test outfit has been doing a lot.
Thanks, dude.
So yeah.
Sorry,
it's a lot
my
of fun.
burrito just showed up.
Higby's got a sandwich, or his burrito, I'm sorry.
It's California, dude. There's no such thing as sandwiches.
That's a
It's just
good point.
burritos.
That is true.
It's in the Constitution.
The burritos and hamburgers from the place that I'm totally forgetting what it's called, and I've failed.
In and out.
In-N-Out, yes.
How could you forget about
I
In-N-Out?
apologize.
Because we don't have any in Texas.
Roy's like, damn it.
Texan.
Yeah, Dallas
Yeah,
has
you guys are
In-N-Out.
all talking.
Roy's like, what the hell's going on, man? I was just talking about the game, and here we go. Now we're talking about food. So go ahead. You can continue on the harasser.
But yeah, like the harasser is really fun. It's you guys completely destroyed my train of thought. So that's all I got to say.
All right, cool. All right, we'll move on to Robo. And so, what are your thoughts on GU08, the Harasser, just kind of the whole package deal?
Package deal is awesome. I'm going to mirror what everyone already said and say that the Harasser has given us a lot of fun. Our armored division has been arguing constantly over what the best attachment, loadout, and weapon is for the Harasser. We've gotten into really long conversations about it. I like the new cosmetics. I like the max weapons. Everything. I mean, well done.
You like the max weapons?
Yeah. I haven't used the Vortex yet, but I like what you guys did with the Comet. That might have been last game update. In general, I really like that. I've been scoring loads of kills with my Comet on the back of the Harasser there. That's a really cool rumble seat. I think it could use some stability, but maybe that's just a bug. We're having some trouble aiming out of the rumble seat, and we're getting hit in the back of the head by the rifles, or by the Cobalt and the other weapons that can aim down far enough. Getting hit in the back of the head when we've got a max.
It's
But
funny.
other than that, having a lot of fun.
It is funny, even though it's kind of bad. It's kind of funny that happens. I actually didn't notice that. I did notice that I could see the halberd spinning around above my head when I was in the back seat. It made me a little bit nervous. It was just going to knock me off. But I didn't realize you could get shot by it. That's insane.
I don't know about the halberd, but we've been ripped up by the Cobalt.
I'm sure, yeah.
A good chunk.
Yeah, I really like the fact that you can put, pretty much anything in the back seat, so you can drive around with a AA Max in there, an AV Max, or whatever, and that's kind of probably what most people are doing. I'm guessing probably putting Maxes in there. So, all right, let's move over to. I'm just gonna totally go random and just mess with you guys this whole time. So, Noxx's eyes are open wide. He's nervous that he's gonna be next, and he's right.
Oh man, well. I like it. It's awesome. I especially like, what's the TR Max rocket launchers called? I'm blanking.
Fracture, yeah.
Yes. Oh, they're awesome. Oh my gosh.
They are pretty awesome.
They almost converted me to full-time TR, but then I started using the NC and Vanu ones in the, what's it called, VR. I like them too, but the Fracture's pretty... The Fracture guns glow. Let's be serious. That's amazing. But... Overall, I think it's awesome. The Harasser, like you guys are all talking about, definitely got to put a max in the back of that for it to be... I feel like you almost have to put a max for it to be effective.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just kind of like, I hope he's a heavy and can shoot rockets at the tanks we pass, but...
Right, I got in there as an infiltrator at first, and I was looking around, and I was like, what the hell am I doing? This isn't going to do anything.
Yeah.
I could shoot pistol at him. I could shoot my SMG, but they'd have to get right up on me. It'd be,
You could shoot your commissioner out, right? Fun stuff. The small weapon updates and saying how it's going to be a lot to talk about.
Okay. On the ReachCast show, yes, absolutely.
Yes.
I was a little bit nervous as well when I wake up in the morning and I'm like, I know there's going to be a patch. How much stuff am I going to have to transcribe into the wiki? That's really it. Like, how much work am I going to have to do?
The last couple patches have been really massive, too. So.
Indeed. So it hasn't been easy. And if you're just rejoining us now, our apologies for the fail. Again, we had internet connection issues. If we have more issues, we will be back. So, all right, let's go ahead and move on to Basti, who has been patiently waiting to talk about the latest game update. Look at him, he looks so patient.
Yeah, Harasser, brilliant vehicle. I usually just run around in a max and hop into random Harassers, let them drive me to the front line, and then just jump out before they die. That's pretty much all they do for me. Driving one myself usually ends with me being right inside the enemy tower, dying horrible, before I can even do something like shooting. For the rest, the weapon changes. My flare was compensated, and forward whip feels a bit different, but nothing to complain about. It's a brilliant patch.
Nothing to complain about?
Nothing to complain about.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a first.
That's a first?
The show's over, guys. It was a good run.
GG.
That's a first, Basti. What the hell, dude?
Something has frozen over.
Yes. Oh, man. I can't believe you just said that. It's like,
Man, I met Basti last year when I went to Gamescom. I hung out with him for a couple nights, actually.
Yep.
And even when I was buying him beers and dinner and stuff, he was still complaining. Still complaining. So this is amazing.
It's a momentous
This is
occasion.
incredible.
I should just record that and just loop it over and over again on the YouTube channel when we put this up. Be like, I have nothing to complain about. That's it. We're done.
I'd have to say props to the team for the harasser because everybody. I think it's something new for the new players, but it's also like a throwback to.
What the hell?
I don't know what Noxx is doing.
I don't know. I think you just lost it.
I think it's a throwback for PlanetSide, original PlanetSide fans, a 3-seater.
Yeah.
So everybody's kind of happy with that.
Yeah, that is interesting. I mean, it's. I'm really looking forward to the new vehicles that come out because this one has just kicked it up a few notches. I mean, it handles well. It's a lot of fun to drive. It's not, I don't feel it's overly, weak. A lot of people have been kind of complaining that it's not. What the hell are you laughing at?
I like they're raising their hands down there so they can talk.
Oh, are they? Oh, sorry. I'm standing here looking right at my own camera, not at the screen. I need to get somebody else to switch the camera shots in the future, so that I can just sit here and stare at the screen. Okay, who's raising their hand? Somebody raise their. Okay, Robo got it first.
Sorry.
So it's like school all over again. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah. Well, two things I forgot to mention. One, thank you for the high velocity ammo on the Equinox burst. As the only VS player in the world that uses that weapon, I really appreciate that. No, I love the burst rifles. I love the burst rifles. And also the armor buff on the tanks. We love that. I don't know if that's technically GU08, but awesome. We really, really appreciate that. It's really helped us with the tank gameplay. As one of the outfits with an armor division, our guys were getting kind of frustrated, but we're having a lot of people come back now that that's been changed.
Cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, looking at tanks over the last few weeks, we definitely thought we wanted to do something to get them a little bit more actively involved in fighting more often. So the armor buff, I think, makes a lot of sense. It still kind of keeps them at the same threat level to infantry. We don't want them to just necessarily be rolling over infantry, but now we're seeing a lot more of them being used. And hopefully we're encouraging a lot more tank versus tank fighting. I want to be able to eventually move over to doing the same thing with the ESFs. The ESFs are in a really shitty position right now where they've gotten neutered by increasing the power of ground troops against air, when the only real role for the ESFs to play in the game is versus ground. And to me, the solution to that is giving aircraft more air versus air gameplay with depth, and that can be fun. Similar to doing what we did with the tanks, give them more ability to counter tanks and have that be gameplay that's valuable and interesting, and make them be sort of able to be specialized at that instead of just being, oh, I'm just going to kill infantry with this thing all day long. I think if we could move to doing the same thing with ESFs, we'll be in a really good place with the way our combined arms gameplay works. So that's something that I'm going to be kind of pushing for us to be working on over the next couple months.
There's a lot of people that are nodding yes right now. I can almost see it.
I don't even use the air-to-air missiles anymore.
I mean, the air-to-air missiles don't have any gameplay, right? They're just lock on. There's no gameplay depth there at all. If the dude has flares, they don't work, and if he does, or if he has flares, the missile doesn't work. If he doesn't, then you kill him. That's not fun. We need to have more ability for good pilots to be able to play air-to-air roles, and for that air-to-air role to be rewarding, besides just a super low skill cap weapon that exists. And the good pilots do play air-to-air roles. They just do it with the nose guns right now,
right.
And that allows them to still be able to have that high ground threat. So what I'd like to do is be able to have secondary weapons that are really useful for air-to-air, and then hopefully we start seeing some really good pilots flying around being air-to-air, and more pilots that right now only kill ground troops because that's the only thing that they have to do, have an entire new world of gameplay opened up to them. The pilots that are up there just lolpotting the ground and killing lots of infantry have an entirely new threat to worry about, and we don't have to necessarily have the only balance be the infantry's ability to zone people completely out of being able to participate in fights, which is sort of what the air-to-ground balance is right now. If there's enough ground defense, then air can't participate in the fight, and that's not fun gameplay for the air. If there's not, then the air completely dominates the ground, and that's not fun gameplay for the ground. There needs to be something else kind of as an intermediary in between to make it actually be fun.
Right, agreed. I mean, as Jen and I both play air quite frequently when we do our ops, and yeah, I mean, It's either one or the other. It's either we can't get into the area at all because there's just too much air to, just too much AA, or we just dominate. It's never really in between, I've noticed. So.
Yeah. And it's funny because, I mean, I get to hear a lot of people talking about all sorts of different stuff. I have my Twitter account, and I get people telling me every day, this is broken, that is broken, this is broken. So I can kind of get a really good feeling for what people's opinions are about how the game is just from the volume of I hate you because of XYZ tweets that I receive any given day.
And you're getting that in channel. Air is lame, and it's not lame. It's a play style. You have to be a good like right now with the air-to-air missiles kind of not the funnest thing to play. To be a ground, to have a Mossy or any other vehicle with a nose gun, it takes skill to shoot someone down.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, there was a time, probably not that long ago, maybe 2 months ago from launch until about 2 months ago, that I certainly by far heard way more complaints from infantry on the ground that are getting dominated by aircraft. Absolutely, it was 90%. It sucks that I'm getting killed by airplanes so much. But in the last 2 months, it's definitely shifted over to more frustration from pilots, feeling like they're unable to really participate pretty well. And the difference really is the skill cap. If you're a great pilot, you can dominate. If you're kind of a middle of the road pilot, you're done. You can't participate in combat at all. Mm-hmm. And that's not a good place for that play style to be at all. It needs to get smoothed out to where those guys have engaging, useful things that they can do throughout the entire skill range, and not just the absolute pinnacle, best of the best pilots are able to dominate. So that's going to be something that you'll see us making some adjustments to over the next couple months.
Cool. So does anybody else have any comments on what we're talking about right now? Hands? Okay, Noxx. We'll go to Noxx first.
I just feel like, to what Higby's saying there about the middle ground not really being existent, it's kind of been that way for all games that try and incorporate air, ground, armor, all that fun stuff. From Battlefield 1942 all the way up to the most recent one, you have these amazing pilots just rip everyone out of the game, and then everyone, if you're like okay, you just get taken out without even any problems. So I'm like thinking, what could you possibly do? And that's a tough one. That's a really tough one.
Well, somebody on Twitter just tweeted at me and asked, because I actually did see this the other day, although I don't remember the details about it. Matt was talking about splitting up the weapons in some way or in categories of some kind, and he was asking what you meant by that. Do you happen to remember that, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, that's something that we've been talking about a lot. I mean, from just a weapon design perspective, one of the things that you've seen us doing a lot lately is removing any kind of weapons that are sort of one-size-fits-all. Anything that's too dominant in one particular area is a problem. And it kind of puts us in a difficult decision or in a difficult position, because those are the weapons that, by and large, people have spent their cert points and their time, or even in some cases, they've spent station cash to unlock. So it's difficult for us to fundamentally change those weapons without ticking off a lot of people. But in reality, when you have one weapon, like pump-action shotguns, for instance, are a weapon that if you're fighting in a tower, there's really not a substitute for that weapon in terms of your ability to get kills. And that's a problem. They need to have asymmetrical downside, so it can't just be a one-size-fits-all. Rocket pods and rotaries are basically a one-size-fits-all configuration. You can kick the shit out of anybody with that configuration in aircraft if you're a good pilot. Right. And that's a problem. The thing that I had talked about doing was changing over both the air-to-ground weapons and the air-to-air weapons to have two different variants. So for air-to-air, you might have the Tomahawk missiles like we have right now, but we move those over to being very slow-moving, sort of like torpedo-type weapons that are really good against galaxies. Maybe they're pretty good against Liberators, but they're not very useful against ESFs. They're too slow-moving to be able to really ever track them and hit them. But then we can create some fast-moving, maybe semi-lock-on missile pods that might have like some heat-seeking mechanic or something that allows them to still emphasize kind of the twitch-based gameplay and make dogfighting actually a fun skill-based system. But if you're an air-to-air pilot, you know you're going to be taking out ESFs, whether they be ground-to-air configured ESFs or air-to-air configured ESFs. You really want to use those missiles as opposed to the big Tomahawk missiles, which are better at taking out Liberators and galaxies. And something similar can be done for the air-to-ground missiles as well. We could have the rocket pods that we have right now be tuned to be better versus infantry, but really, really weak against armored targets, and then create some guided bombs or guided missiles that are really lock-on required, or maybe they need to have a painted target to be able to be used, and they're really good against armor. But any of those things allows us to sort of break up what ESFs can do right now, which is create the ultimate configuration that just works in any situation they find themselves in, and ultimately just creates a big problem for us from a game balance perspective.
Cool. There's a lot there.
Sorry.
It's okay. Digesting it all and thinking about it. Okay.
Don't take away my rotary.
Yeah, please don't take it away.
I love my
I don't think we would take anything away. It would probably be
Don't nerf it.
done
It's
by
perfect.
adding. The changes that I'm talking about are changes that are made by making additions. If we put in a kick-ass, really good air-to-air missile that ESFs can use to kick the shit out of other ESFs, but it's really focused on that,
Right.
we can put in that weapon and change the way that dogfighting works without removing existing weapons.
Right.
So.
Cool. All right. Anybody? Go ahead and raise your hands if you want. Okay. Roy has. He's raising his hand multiple times like a boss. Go ahead, Sarah.
I don't know. Something Higby said was about like a rocket that would be good against killing infantry, and I don't think that would be very fun for much of the infantry game, because it's like back around beta and release and up until the major rocket nerf that reduced the explosion radius, rockets just kind of if you wanted to get kills and wanted to get experience, you just like flew over infantry battles and just rocket potted them all to death. So it was
and to be clear, I'm not saying that we would add a better rocket for killing infantry. The current rocket would be the good rocket for killing infantry. Not getting buffed to be better at it, but the new air-to-ground weapon we would be creating would be useless for infantry. It would either be something that required lock-on or was like a mass driver of some sort that had no splash damage at all, and it was really good against armored targets purely.
I think the largest source of complaining was just the rocket pod farming that people were doing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think
like
they've
the painted
got the
target idea.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I think they got the rocket pod damage against infantry pretty good right now.
Yeah.
For the most part. It's not nearly like back in the day. I used to be one of those farmers, but
Oh, yes.
Nope.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, the best of the best pilots right now are killing infantry with rotaries.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's what they...
Or the
they're using
shotgun.
air hammers or whatever.
the
They're using the
Banshee.
nose gun, basically.
Oh yeah, the air hammer is just insane for that sort of stuff.
Since the
Oh my
update,
God,
the
that's
Banshee
so annoying.
is
Super high skill cap,
Yep,
right? I mean, it's
absolutely.
something that requires you to be a really good pilot to be able to achieve kills with. So yeah, I mean, these are all things that we're aware of and we talk a lot about and we try to figure out. But I mean, as you guys can imagine, they're challenging problems to solve without fundamentally changing the way that people right now like to play the game. And anytime we're talking about changing the way that a lot of our people like to play the game, we have to do it really cautiously. Because whether or not you think that's an annoying thing or not, it's something that a certain percentage of people like to do. So we don't want to just pull the rug out from under them by completely changing a gameplay mechanic or a gameplay mode.
Right.
I could see how it'd be frustrating being on the other end of that rotary cannon or hailstorm, and a lot of people are saying the hailstorm is pretty ridiculous, but
Pretty silly.
to actually get a kill from above takes a lot of skill on the ground to actually hit someone and kill them. So it sucks for you, but it takes some sort of skill to do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, definitely.
That person
rotary.
put time into it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
like when you bail and I have to go back and kill you. Yeah, that's right.
oh, here we go. That had to come up, didn't it?
hmm
It
I
always
never
has to come up.
I never let them bail.
She never lets the bailers go.
Is that part of the drinking game?
It should be, if it's not, because that's going to mention numerous times. All right, let's go ahead and let's jump into the next topic here. What we'll do is we'll jump into the next topic, and then we'll kind of do a little free forum and take questions from the chat and just kind of topics from the chat, stuff like that. So one of the things that you guys are testing out quite a bit right now is the new Lattice or battle lane system. I'm not really exactly sure what you're calling it. But are there some things that you guys have learned about that from all the playtests? Are those helpful for you guys? And kind of where are we on that right now? Is it something that's coming soon, or are we still going to be a while before we see it?
I think that it's going to be coming sooner than people think. the last hurdle that we're trying to jump right now is just visualization. It looks like shit in the map. It's really confusing. We've done basically what we can do with the hex system to make it be readable, and we're looking at new options now to try to make it look better and have the graphic fidelity on the map be a lot better than it is right now. So that's sort of our last hurdle in terms of getting it finished for Indar. The other thing is we've done so many improvements to Indar, not just the lattice changes, but I mean, if you guys, I'm sure all of you guys who've been on test server and have seen it, every single one of the outposts basically is significantly changed to emphasize defensibility, to make the flow better. And Alex, one of our level designers, spent 4 weeks just doing nothing but retouching facilities on Indar and cleaning up issues with them and analyzing data about where people are dying and looking at spawn rooms and positioning and all that kind of stuff, and just cleaning up a lot of things. So we want to get those changes up on live as soon as possible, because they're really going to help out that continent quite a bit.
So when you guys go live with it, are you just going to go live with Indar to start?
Yeah, so that's another thing too. Is there's a lot of people who either don't like the idea behind this change, or they're concerned about what the ramifications are going to be longer term to the game. So the plan right now is to sort of release it staggered. We're going to release it on Indar on live and not on Amherst and Esamir. So that way the people who think that my machine's not going to be able to handle these big fights that it creates, or I don't like the idea of being forced into playing along a certain way, are going to have an option to be able to try both of them parallel for a little while and figure out which one's actually working better for the game. And I think most people will sort of come around and embrace the changes, because there's still a lot more freedom if you compare what we're doing with our rush lane changes to what PS1 had with the Lattice. There's way more individual battle lines and front lines that are available at any given time, unless you're like pushed all the way back to your warp gate with the rush lane changes that we're making.
Right.
And I think that people will find that there's going to be lots of fights of lots of different sizes happening, and if not, the other continents will be available for a little while for them to be able to play on and try both of them directly against each other. And who knows? I mean, we might end up getting feedback from a huge amount of players that says, hey, we've tried them both against each other, and the rush lanes one's just not as fun as these other ones are, and then we'll reevaluate whether or not we want to go forward with doing it on all the continents, whether we want to revert it. But the main thing that's holding it back right now is just getting the visualization finished, and we're working on that in earnest. So the change will be there sooner than people think.
Cool. All right, so has everybody in here played it on the test server? Go ahead and nod for me, yes or no. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, everybody has. Awesome, perfect. That's what I was expecting, but just wanted to make sure. So if you have played it, which everybody in here has,
I haven't.
You're fired.
Barely.
Get out. This is it. The show's over.
Hey, I'm being honest.
Yeah, I haven't played it a lot, but I have played it.
I'm putting trust in the development team.
Yeah.
I'm going in blind when it goes launched.
Uh-oh. Nothing can go wrong there.
No.
So what's everybody's thoughts on it? Do you guys think it'll improve the game? What are some complaints about it? Things like that. And we will start with Robo this time around. I'll let you think for a second before I go to your camera, but just let us know just overall what your thoughts are on it. If you think it sucked, if you think it's good, what your improvements would be, things like that. So go ahead.
I'm very excited. I've played a couple of tests on the server. Killed Higby a couple of times. It was fun. But Roy put out a video a while back with some concerns, and I mirror a couple of those concerns. In a maxed out population capped fight, you've got a lot of fronts that are going to be platoon or platoons in any given area, and with the rush lanes, they're going to funnel that straight in. And I'm excited to see those big fights. I played this game for the big fights. But something that Roy mentioned that I don't want to steal any of his thunder is some of the outposts are going to be difficult to fight 200 people versus 200 people on, because they're not meant for that kind of fighting. Hopefully, and I've seen some of the fortresses, like the Sarva South Fortress looks awesome for facilitating bigger gameplay, and they've done a lot of that in some of the other Indar places. But I'm just worried of these huge Zerg balls that are going to meet on these really small outposts, and it's going to get kind of tough for the fights. They don't have anywhere to sort of expand to. But I want to see it on live. I want to see how it goes, because part of the problem with the test server is you're not going to get thousands of people on the test server to test it out. Yeah.
No matter how hard you try, you can't get a lot of people on there. So, and I think you just created a new term, Zerg balls. I've never heard that one before. So we'll jump right into Roy next, since you mentioned him. So what are your thoughts on it?
On that note, the defensibility of things, it's not necessarily defensibility, it's the fact that there's just not enough stuff in an area. Like, I'm thinking of, like, Snake Ravine Lookout. There's 3 buildings there. And you put 200 versus 200 in 3 buildings, and that's just not going to be a fun fight. So, a lot of the bases are being changed to support it better, and I do like that. I haven't seen it, the most recent version. I haven't just gone over and flown over the bases and looked at them, but some of them are looking really fun, and I cannot wait. But I still don't like the teleporters in biolabs. I think there's a lot of space between the base of the biolab and the adjacent bases for them that are just being skipped over by instantly teleporting from one point to another, and so I don't think that those are very fun. Like, I kind of just want to have an assault on the base of the biolab, set up sunderers, and push them in. I don't want to be like, oh, I captured the Elatum side base, and now I can just teleport in the biolab. The defenders have to be in the biolab at all times to defend.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the biolabs are really tricky, right? They're a super unique base.
Yeah.
They allow for a lot of defensibility. People like that. It's kind of tricky to make major changes to them, but at the same time, they cause a lot of flow issues. Because of how defensible they are, they cause some significant flow issues on the continent. So we're looking at ways to change the biolabs, and I'm super interested in hearing suggestions from people, wherever they may be, about ways to make the biolabs cooler. People have ideas about them. Post them on PSU, post them on Reddit, let us know.
Like, I really like Sarva, how the Sarva has that entire underbase around it and the walls around it, and the adjacent bases are outside of the walls and in the extreme, like, the areas around it. So, like, I really, really, really like that, and I feel like the teleporters down below, right underneath the base, is a good place for them, not on the side bases. It just gives you stuff to fight into, rather than just like, oh, I have to stay in the biolab because I've got armies coming through these teleporters that aren't even, they're like 300, 400 meters away. They're just instantly teleporting into my base.
I actually like that. It forces you to split up and actually manage the Zerg, as opposed to just get everyone to this point and be done.
I don't think that's the outcome.
Well, that is on Miller, at least.
Oh.
Your other puny servers without teamwork, I don't care about.
My feeling on these things just in general is that it's good to have variety. The biolabs play significantly differently. Having Swarva be a very different setup biolab than all the other ones is a cool thing. I think that's a good thing in general, And I think it would be boring if you captured every single base the exact same way. And I think our bases in a lot of ways are already too much like that, and I'd prefer for them to be more different. So the problem is just when they're different in a way that's not good, I guess.
I was about to troll and be like, come on, we just put like a 700-foot stairwell in there, like, and just make that go up, and we can fight over that for like 17 hours.
An escalator.
25-minute walk up the spiral staircase.
Yeah. That would suck. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to Basti. I know you kind of talked a little bit, but any additional thoughts on the new system, the Lattice?
On the Lattice, I think I love that it's coming soon, but I think it is a mistake to put it only on India at the beginning, because the queue won't hold up. It's gonna be full all times. The main problem with the hack system right now is that it happens a lot on Miller. You have a big fight, for example, last weekend on Mao, and we were just getting the TR pushed away from Mao, and we took the base, and what usually would happen is that they meet up at some other space and try to defend that position. What actually happens, they spawn at all the bases they can spawn, and they have no force to actually stop our Zerg. And we just steamroll over them till we meet a Rashnu. And this happens basically every day, every time someone tries to get a push on onto the VS warp gate going. We just counter push them like that. For the other factions it's the same, and it's just boring as fuck. And it annoys me greatly because I look at the map, I think, yep, I have this platoon or 2 platoons going, we can do this, oh, enemy squads detected, enemy squads detected, enemy squads detected. What do I do with those folks now? Just, last weekend I sent a global orders, have fun ghost capping the continent till you find a fight. And I got tells from people saying, yeah, hopefully the Lattice changes this.
Alright. Noxx. Oh, do you have more thoughts? Or am I interrupting you?
Yeah, no, actually, yeah.
It's my job to interrupt you, actually. Now that I think about it.
From the few
Said enough, Basti.
Yeah, from the few playtests we had on the test server, which I always participated if I could. I have seen a different game entirely. We had pushes on Mao, or no, we pushed on Rashnu, and TR were just trying to stop us. And we took Rashnu, and they just tried to stop us then at the satellite. We took the satellite, they tried to stop us at the next base, and this just kept going for base after base. And they always just put everything they could, and they always just knew where they would have to be in order to stop us. As opposed to be everywhere, no one is saying what we have to do, let's fuck off. And I see Higby nodding.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the biggest win that we get out of the rush lane changes is predictability. But that's also the biggest lose that we get out of it, right? The complaint that people have is that the predictability means that you cut off the freedom. But at the same time, people want to be able to find where a fight is. They want to be able to understand, if I die here and I lose the space, where do I fall back at to set up my defenses next time? So too much freedom is bad, obviously. What we have right now, where everybody can just disperse, go anywhere, and there's not a real obvious, this is the right place to be, this is the wrong place to be, is negative. But too much restriction is bad, too. So hopefully with the changes that we're making, we're hitting a balance of allowing there to be lots of strategic options that exist still, but still having a clear and obvious, this is the place that you need to be next. And then, yeah, I mean, you can attack from the left, you can attack them from the right, but you need to hold the center next. Otherwise, it gets pushed a little bit further along. And I think that we have a pretty good balance of that right now, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it with a full populated server.
I share your concerns about small squads. I think that's what you mean, that small squads have nothing to do right now with the Lattice, but with rush lanes. But I think it's just wrong. There are plenty of options for small squads, because it won't be that enemy platoons detected at every single lane. There's plenty of space, and right now, if I look at the hack system on a fully populated Miller, I see 1, 2, maybe 3 enemy platoons detected trying to push against the VS, but there's still plenty of room for smaller squads, even with rush lanes. I think it will be brilliant, and a lot of people will be coming back for that.
Cool. Noxx. Thoughts?
Oh, I'm finally up. I'm gonna feed off of all three of these guys because I haven't actually played with the Lattice. I went into the test server 2 hours ago, and looked at them.
Awesome.
So, but some things I noticed just looking and then hearing what Roy was saying. His complaint about that, I guess that separate base is now, instead of something that turns over instantly as a territory to actually control. And I think I like that. I feel like it might encourage people to push out of the biolab when they're defending it rather than just sit there and farm kills. Because now when you get that, you're not just getting a base that they can recapture instantly, you're getting another piece of territory. So I think I actually kind of like that. The one thing that I was I guess, afraid of is the chokes and it creating chokes, but looking at it, it doesn't look too bad. There's a lot of options to go to, depending on not being warp gated or whatnot. And then the one thing that I really like looking at it is I feel like you're not going to have that sort of, all right, we're pushing up, like you kind of have 80% of the map maybe, and then one faction just decides to cut through the middle of that and cut off all your resource gain and just ruin your whole push and break things apart. And I feel like preventing that is a good thing because that's essentially ghost capping. So I feel like if that goes away, that's a really good thing. I've always been kind of against
that kind of stuff. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh no, I was going to say I've always been against the Lattice because I don't want to be trapped into one way. But after looking at it and hearing what these guys have to say, I really do think it will provide a good thing.
Yeah, what I was going to say is I think being able to strategically cut people off is fine, but in the current game right now, there's so many different options for being able to do that it's impossible to stop, and that's not fine. You need to be able to say, hey, these guys look like they're trying to cut us off, and if we go to this location, we can prevent that from happening, and we can push them back and secure it. But the way our game's set up right now, if a bunch of guys do go run and try to cut off that thing, they'll just say, all right, well, fuck it. We have 7 different other directions we can go to do the exact same thing, and they can't cover all 7 of them at once. So
that's
really
a good point.
To stop somebody who wants to go behind enemy lines and capture a bunch of stuff. As soon as they have one of them, how are you going to stop them from capturing these 6 other bases around it? You might be able to stop 2 or 3, but with the changes that we're making, I think that's still a viable strategy. And if people aren't paying attention, like what happened when we were in our playtest last weekend, that we only had maybe 500 people on the server, so it wasn't a lot. It was enough to really fill up the combat in one kind of sector of the map. One lane was really full and really active, which is perfect. But the TR and the NC were basically fighting just around Paris and Paris East Grove. For 30 or 40 minutes we were fighting between those 2 locations. And the VS were able to come in, sweep around, and capture everything because we weren't paying attention. And I think that kind of strategy and the ability for commanders to now be thinking like, well, what are these guys doing? Where are they capturing? What are they up to that we need to be paying attention to right now while we're in the middle of having this like really fierce battle is something that we don't have in PlanetSide 2 right now, and something that we really need in order for people to feel like they have the ability to make strategic decisions that actually matter. And hopefully the rush lane system gives us some of that.
No, I think I have to agree with you. I said I don't like the backcapping, cutting off, but to what you were saying about just being able to go anywhere is a very good point. I feel like, yeah. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah.
I agree completely.
The funny thing is when I jumped on the server to actually participate in one of the Lattice play tests is when the Harasser was just put on, and so I logged in and like everybody was driving around in a Harasser, and I was like, oh, maybe I should have come on like last week because everybody was driving around in Harassers, and it was just insane. It was like Harasser fest, just constantly going on. So I haven't had a huge interaction with it myself, but from what I've seen, I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to be fun. I'm not, I don't think it's an end-all solution for kind of what we're all looking for in the game, but I definitely think it's going to make things more exciting, and it's going to really focus some fights. The thing that I worry about, and lots of other people that are watching worry about, and Roy's kind of mentioned it too, is that, you get too many people in one place, and a lot of people have problems with performance already. What's going to happen to those folks that are, already having problems, and now you've put like 1 million people on their screen? It is what it is, I guess. Who knows? I guess really we're not going to see it in its full capacity until we actually get it on the live server, because it's just not possible to get everybody on test, no matter how hard you try. I mean, I try and tweet about it as much as I can on PSU and on my own account, and share it out as much as I can, but in the end, most people are just going to jump on the live server because they're going to be able to advance their characters. And Noxx is raising his hand again. I'm not really sure why. I guess he wants to talk.
You made me think of something, saying the small outfits and stuff about the Lattice. Is one thing I really do like in concept is being able to not have this situation where you join up with a Zerg and then you're like, well, let's just go somewhere else, and you can kind of, I don't know, go a little more guided. I feel like smaller outfits can be useful with this. I mean, they'll just really coordinated servers where the outfits all work together, like Connery, TRG, TXR, and them. They all work together. I feel like can take really good advantage of the new system.
Mm-hmm.
And we have other things planned too that are directly to try to support small outfits. You know, I think one of the things that oftentimes just about everybody, myself included, will kind of look at a big change that's coming and think about, is this going to solve every single problem with the game? Is this going to fix all the different things that are not perfect about the game right now? And the answer is no. I mean, the rush lane system is an addressing of a very specific problem. It helps to give a little bit more predictability to where fights are happening so that you as a defender or you as an attacker know where you need to be at any given time to be able to do stuff. By doing that, it also makes some strategic options a little bit more viable, a little bit more valuable, a little bit more important. But it doesn't change every single thing about the game. It doesn't make resources suddenly matter more. It doesn't make outfits able to have better coordination and communication within each other. You know, there's tons of little things that we always need to be adding to the game. There's no end to different features and different changes that we can make that make the game materially better. This is just one kind of stone in the footpath of making this game an awesome game. It's not the silver bullet that's going to change the way the game works forever and turn it, you know, into this completely different experience, nor should it be. It's not supposed to be. It's just going to solve a couple problems, and we're going to continue to hopefully choose more things like this that allow us to solve little problems here and there.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
I don't think that there'll ever be like a true fix because it's an MMO. I mean, it's job security for them to not, you know.
Yeah, Higby's intentionally not fixing everything.
Yes, exactly. Job security, Higby. No, I'm just saying, like, I don't think you can please everybody anyways. Like, there's always people that have differences in opinions. It's just, it is what it is.
Well, I think the key the key example of that is esports and the people who rage about it, and then the people who are on the other side of the fence. It's like a total like oil and water type of situation in the community, more so I think than anything else. And the people who aren't going to like it regardless of what they do about it. So I can think of a couple people right off the top of my head in particular. So everybody laughs, thinking of their own people, probably the same one. So anyway, let's see here. Let's go ahead and So do you guys have any specific things that you would like to bring up topic-wise? Thoughts? Who raised their hand first? I think it was Basti. Or was it Noxx? He's pointing at Noxx. It's funny because he's actually right beside him on the screen, so he really is pointing at Noxx. He's shaking his head no. All right, we're going to go with Basti.
I didn't raise my hand at all.
I know, but he's still pointing over. It's pretty funny. Did you have something you wanted to bring up there, Basti?
Yes, that is on a completely different topic. PlanetSide's 10-year anniversary is coming up. What about the 3 months? Any chance for that?
Silence.
Higby, that's addressed to you.
Is that it for me?
Yeah.
I'll take care of that.
I thought that was for Roy.
What? I don't have any.
I'm not sure. I'll have to ask. I can ask about that, though, for sure. I think no matter what, we're going to want to do something cool to celebrate the 10-year anniversary of the greatest MMO FPS of all time.
Ever.
Yeah.
Cool. I know a lot of people are excited about that for sure. I can't believe it's been 10 years myself. It's just insane.
I can. I've seen the hosting bills.
She's like, it feels like 30. It's kind of like our marriage, you know? Feels like 30 years. As she agrees with me. See, I'm not being mean to her.
I'm just going to keep flipping my harasser over until you come over to
I
me.
keep showing her screen. I don't know if you guys have probably seen a couple times. She's flipped over the harasser and crashed it. I show her screen on occasion, mix things up a little bit in here. So no pressure. No pressure at all on your screen there.
It's VR. There is no pressure.
No pressure at all. All right, so Noxx didn't actually raise his hand, and I see Robo raising his hand over there. And Roy is pointing at Matt. I'm not really sure if he had any questions for himself.
No. Robo is actually the direction I'm pointing.
Oh, really? Okay, well, I
On
guess
my
it's completely different for all of us. But Robo, go ahead. What's your question or thought?
Yeah, so I put it in Twitch chat a little bit ago, but this is just, I wasn't planning on this before, but someone brought it up. The voice chat. We like having voice chat in game. I love having like squad and platoon and outfit chat in game. Do we have any updates to the UI coming? Do we have anything sort of upgrades to it? The biggest example I can think of is in leader chat. Anyone that wants to can have, leader chat for 100 certs and have someone in their squad. But it gets frustrating when we've got 3 continents right now. We're about to add a 4th. We'll have a 5th sometime soon. We can't coordinate with each other over one leader chat channel where we're on 5 different continents. It gets incredibly confusing, and people are yelling at each other to, shut up and use the text chat, which we shouldn't have to do because we have a voice chat for a reason. They've got that custom channel in game, but as someone keeps liking to say, it's a hard hat area. It doesn't always work. The channels break. A few outfits have been using that lately to coordinate with each other, but it's very difficult when it keeps breaking. And we understand that it's not a finished feature yet. Do we have updates on when this might be finished, or when we'll get more voice options, so to speak?
So that's a great question. One of the areas of the game that I feel like is sorely in need of attention right now is the social pages. Everything that pops up when you hit the P key, that whole list of screens, they're all terrible. They all need a lot of love. So we're going to be spending some time looking at those. Vindicor, actually, from the Vindicators, has been posting some really, really good suggestion screenshots with enhancements to those screens, specifically like things like the squad browser and the platoon screen. And I've sent those things over verbatim to the UI team and said, figure out how to get these things done. So I'm hoping to start seeing some enhancements to all those social screens. Outfits is another thing that's really, really high on our list of priorities right now, to be able to put more features into outfits. And voice chat is obviously a really hugely important component of that as well. We still have a lot of people that are sort of holdouts that just don't like our voice chat, and I totally get why. If you're using TeamSpeak or something like that, that's going to be a far better way for you to manage voice communications for your particular player community. If you're in an outfit, like if you're in the Devil Dogs, or I know Hamma, you guys probably use your own voice over IP server too instead of ours, but
yeah, we use
once you're in the game and you're trying to coordinate outside of your outfit, the voice options that we give within the game are really useful for that. And yeah, we need to spend some time making those better and giving more features to those things. So while we don't have anything like I can say, oh, this will be better in June, it is something that we know that we want to be adding a little bit of extra features to, and that's something that's really important for us. Cool. At the end of the day, and I've said this before, I don't talk about it a lot, but to me, PlanetSide 2, beyond guns and capturing territory and resources and all that shit, the thing that's critical about PlanetSide is it's a team-based game. It's team play on a scale that no other games really offer. And voice over IP is one of the cornerstone features that makes that possible. So for me, being able to put more features and being able to spend some more time making our voice over IP offerings better and better is really huge. Because the thing that makes me most excited about working on this game is building a completely new and more fully featured team play experience is what, for me as a game designer, is really exciting.
All right.
So there.
Did I just see somebody raise their hand? I guess I didn't. I guess I'm totally didn't see anybody do it. All right. Does anybody have? I know there's been tons of stuff flowing past in chat. So if you have anything that you want to ask or talk about, go ahead and throw it up in the Twitch chat.
Let's make sure to put question in front of it.
Yeah, be sure to put question in front of it, so we actually know that you're asking a question or anything. Well, somebody raised their hand asking about sanctuaries. Can we just stop talking about that for a while? I can't imagine that's going to be like, Matt's going to be just like, oh yeah, we're going to put in sanctuaries.
Oh, isn't that on the drinking game?
Take a drink.
Oh, it is. That's right. Maybe that's why he did it. It's probably the only reason. Let's see.
But I saw one in the list, voice macros. I remember, Matt, you told us ages ago that you're gonna work on this stuff. What happened to it?
Yeah, it fell between the cracks, man. There's been lots of other higher priority things that have popped up. I like the idea of voice macros primarily because I like the ability for voice macros to be able to sort of allow people who speak different languages to be able to work together a little bit better. Other than that, I think voice over IP works better than voice macros in pretty much every single possible sense. But I understand why people want to have voice macros, and it is something that we want to be able to enhance. But again, it's just not at the top of the priority list.
Mm-hmm.
We need more ways to taunt the enemy with voice macros.
There are
That was
many
my
ways.
favorite part about Tribes.
Yeah,
Just
Tribes
being
was
able to cuss people out when you kill them.
Tribes
Yeah.
was really good
Just
at
my
that.
worst.
I am the greatest.
Yeah, Tribes was definitely really good at that. I actually have kind of a sort of a question, more of a request. So on a vehicle like the Harasser, it would be nice to be able to lock your camera view in behind it if you're in an external view. I don't know if you guys have ever talked about that or anything, but I think that would be a really neat feature because I drive an external view mostly, and when your camera is kind of freeform, I tend to crash into a lot of trees, which makes me look like a complete noob, even though I am.
Just added in for Hamma's bad driving.
Just for me.
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, the way that the camera views work right now, we would be able to either support a locked-in rear view or a freeform view, but not both.
Mm-hmm.
So adding like a third toggle where you hit T a third time and it puts you in this camera, and then you hit it again and it lets you freeform, is a possibility. I can put that on a list of features for us to look into. But right now the way it works is there's two camera modes, essentially. And if there's any freedom of movement on the camera, then that's the second camera mode.
Right. So basically,
You know, in some vehicles there's not at all. When you go into secondary camera, you can't move it at all. You can do that, but
I see what you're saying. Yeah. So okay, makes sense. Cool. All right. Let's see here. Let's take a peek at the chat. See what we've got going
I got
on.
a question.
Go ahead.
Are
Fire away.
account unlocks for Empire-specific equivalents still being in development, i.e., Reaver, Rocket Unlock, Scythe, Mosquito Rockets, etc.? And NETA.
It's something that we're still discussing whether or not we absolutely want to do it, to be honest. And there's a few reasons for it. Ideally, we want to be getting people invested in a character. And opening up those sort of cross-account unlocks is something that makes it a lot easier for people to jump around from Empire to Empire, or jump on whichever one happens to be winning. So that's one of the things that we've been discussing quite a bit. So we don't have a firm, yes, we're absolutely going to do this on that yet.
Okay. Cool.
If I may add to this, why not just make one character per server, except for bricks? Because it's only the Aussies who are shafted by this. Everyone else should really just stay with their fucking faction.
I mean, we could do that, and we could spend a bunch of time developing tools that allow us to do that, and you know, it's not really even a lot of time to say you're locked to this one character on this faction. It's pretty easy for us to do, but in this game, it's so simple for you to just go create a new account.
That's true. But, well, then, if you create a new account, you don't have the Empire-specific unlocks on your other characters.
Yeah, but that only affects the people who are paying money. The free-to-play players are still going to be able to jump back and forth to whatever.
Screw them.
You say that, but if you're looking at trying to solve the problem of people jumping factions to be able to get on whichever team happens to be winning, you have to take that into account, you know? So basically what we would be doing is putting a barrier in front of subscribers and paying players to be able to play multiple characters, but not in front of free-to-play players. And that's kind of a negative thing to do.
Cool.
I mean, we get this kind of question a lot, right? People are always like, all right, you guys need to solve the population problem.
Because I hate you. Don't forget that part. They all hate you.
Personal appeal to Matt Higby.
It's just, what can we do to solve the population issues? There's tons of options. We could not allow more people to log in once they reach a certain threshold. We could say that when there's 300 people on the server, if 300 of them are NC and 150 of them are VS, or if 300 are maximum on one empire and 150 are on the others, then no more can log on to this one until these ones catch up. But that sucks. No one wants that. We could say you can't create a new character on the server because there's too many TR characters on the server or whatever. But then if you want to go play with your friends or your buddy just told you about this game at school or whatever, and you can't create a character on the server that he's on, that sucks. So, I mean, there's lots of heavy-handed possibilities for solutions to solving the Empire distribution, but there's not any really excellent solutions for it that don't screw people over and have unintended consequences that basically no one would want. And if there were, we would have done them already. So it's problematic. And even taking something like people have suggested, like, well, we should just severely buff the amount of experience that they get, things like that. If you're still going to win because you have a huge population advantage, you're probably still going to be better off than the person getting the experience bonus. So the experience bonus is more for kind of a little bit of an extra reward to make the people who are getting curb stomped because they're at a population disadvantage feel a little bit better about how much they're getting their asses kicked more than anything else. It's not anything that really encourages you to go sign up to get your ass kicked. It's more of a, well, as long as I'm getting my ass kicked, I'm getting a little bit of bonus experience for it, so maybe I'll stay on for another 5 minutes, which might let another person log on and sort of help equalize it a little bit. But it's not a solution, and it's not intended to be. It's just kind of it's an apology, I guess, more than anything else.
Right. I saw Robo.
So, I mean, it's a really challenging problem. It really is.
Robo, I saw you raising your hand numerous times, so we'll go ahead and let you have a chance.
While we were still on the Empire, on the account-wide unlocks, I had a comment simply that the NS weapons, basically, if I get a Saron HRB for my Mag Rider, some people think I should automatically get I guess the Vulcan, whatever the TR Prowler equivalent is. I don't like that. I do think that if I get a Cobalt, an NS weapon, on my Mag Rider, I should get a Cobalt on my Prowler. Or if I get a Halberd, if I make the choice to get a NS weapon, which can be used by all Empires, that's the whole point, it should carry over. I think with the Harasser, for instance, if I get a Cobalt or a Halberd or a Bulldog, that should carry over. But if you introduce the faction-specific stuff, no, I don't think that should carry over. I think if you make the choice to get a Saron HRB, you're a dedicated VS player, you don't get the Vulcan. You don't get the Enforcer, whatever it is. That's the system that I see. I'm probably going to get flamed for it in chat because people want their money's worth or whatever. But I'm a VS player. I'm going to play VS. I'm okay with that choice. I think people need to have more faction loyalty. People need to stick with a character, stick with a faction, and enjoy it. Obviously, some people do want to play all the Empires, and that's fine. I don't want to limit them to 1/3 of the game's content. But PlanetSide is about picking a side. It's about picking a faction to be loyal to and stick with it. I mean, back in 2003, 2004, if you were an Empire hopper, you were scum. You don't do that. If you had multiple accounts because you wanted to play on two sides of the war, you didn't do that. And I guess a lot of our PS players like myself are a little bit jaded because we see this happening, and we're not a big fan of it. But I think if you want to make NS weapons, the Nanite Systems weapons, a way for people that want to do cross-faction so that they don't lose a lot of certs or station cash, I like that. But not all the Empire-specific stuff. That should be a choice the player makes to specialize and to be rewarded for it.
Mm-hmm.
If you want 2 TR characters, buy two of them. That's how I feel on it. Like, just because I unlock the AA and I have another TR character, it doesn't mean I should automatically get it.
Even with money, you think that?
Yep.
Oh, I don't like that.
She's so mean.
No, I think that you should stick to your character that you picked. You know, if that's your main, then use it as your main, and if you want an alt, then you should have to pay for it again. Unless it's an NS weapon, of course. That's cross. I think that's a good idea, but...
I completely agree with that if you have server transfer tokens, because I think some servers just suck to play on.
And I think that they will bring that soon.
Yeah.
So...
See, I agree with Robo, but I don't agree with you.
Kick him off the show.
All right, get him out of here.
I agree with you, I don't like you. You're wrong.
You suck.
Never have him on the show again. Such a jerk. Let's see. We should probably somewhat touch on this a little bit.
Oh, I just want to ask a quick question to Higby. Are
it.
you guys planning on, when you're in external view in harassers and on Wraith modules, are you going to have the duration like the turbo countdown in the T view, external view?
That would be nice. Yeah.
Is it possible?
It's a good question. The reason we're not right now is because we want the third-person view in vehicles to be used for maneuvering, but not necessarily used for gameplay. That's why you don't get to see like your weapon crosshairs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, those kind of things, you need to be able to see those to be able to drive. So, I don't think it's a problem for us to add those to.
I think it might be more of a bigger issue for someone like the Wraith module, just because you're the gunner at the same time.
There's like just got a cock shot on Basti here. What is going on? Like the Google chat just switched over to him while he was standing up or something. That was terrible.
Fortunately, nobody else saw it except for us. Make it stop.
Everybody's
pants,
jealous
Basti.
of channel.
Put on some pants.
Ah, man.
I'm traumatized now. I don't think I'm going to come on the show anymore.
It's like, that's
I didn't
it.
sign up for this.
I've had enough. So one of the things that we should probably bring up, because it always comes up, is and it's kind of a random issue. It doesn't happen for everybody. Where are you guys at with performance? I know it's kind of an ongoing thing, but what are some of the things you guys do to try and help resolve folks who always end up with FPS issues and stuff like that?
So it's interesting. We have a lot of people that are looking into performance of different kinds. And we are constantly making changes and optimizations. And it's funny, when we release an update, we'll get, 25% of people saying, oh, it's the same. 25% of people saying, oh, it's way better. 25% of people saying, oh, it's way worse. And we could have released something that we know didn't even affect performance at all. So it's an interesting thing. Right now we're working really hard on some things on the server performance side, which we feel like are actually going to create some big fixes on the client's performer side. But I've kind of learned over the course of the last year or so to not promise or even say that there's a big performance increase coming in the next update, because some percentage of people, based on their hardware, are going to have slightly less performance. And then people are like, haha, is this what you call a performance increase? And if 75% of people get a 5% performance increase that they don't really notice, but some issue with the performance optimization that we did causes problems on 5% of people's machines and causes them to have a 20% performance decrease, then the story becomes that we, through trying to optimize, actually made our performance worse. When you look across the board, that's not necessarily true, but that's what people will hear. So it's something that's ongoing, something we're continuing to work on, but not something that we're really trying to emphasize with, hey, this update is a huge performance increasing update and everybody's going to have way better FPS. I don't think that there's going to be a lot of those type of things.
Right.
Oh, I got my harasser stuck in the tree. Look.
Oh,
Sorry.
awesome.
Nice.
Failure.
It's falling
I was
out.
actually mesmerized watching your harasser the whole time I was talking.
And I'm dead.
Oh, and she exploded.
I could only think of Derringer the whole time you're talking about performance updates. I feel like every time he cries about it being a negative impact on him.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing, man, is we'll put in something that we know is a performance increaser for certain people, but it'll, cause a difference on other machines. The other thing is, and this happens a lot with a big update, when we do an update, almost always we see our population on our servers go up a lot. The number one reason that people have poor performance in the game isn't their graphic options. It's not the physics particle effects, although physics particle effects can cause you to have slower performance, and the graphic options can cause you to have slower performance. The thing that really causes the game to be slow for 99% of people is the number of people that are around them. And when we release an update, we could add performance increasing to it, but if there's 30% more players on the server that weekend, your performance is going to be worse. So it's tough. It's really tough.
Yeah, it's like Yeah, it's kind of there's no way to predict what's going to happen.
Well, there's just so many different
variables,
systems, and
absolutely, there's so many variables, so many hardware configs, and then you guys release an update. You never know how many more people are going to show up, and so it's that big question mark. And I think a lot of folks who have performance issues kind of don't kind of see the big picture, because it sucks to be the person that has bad performance.
Totally,
so.
Yeah, and it's not something that I'm not saying that we're giving up on it, we're not working on it or anything like that. Something we take very seriously. It's something we work on every single update. We have several people on the team that are looking at doing nothing but getting as much performance out of areas as possible. When we're redoing bases, we're doing it with an eye towards making sure that the bases are optimized to not have as many objects. So we're providing more cover and doing more things while at the same time reducing the number of objects that are in the area, so that we can fit a couple more players there and have the same number of draws being done on your computer. Mm-hmm. So it's an effort that's being done across the board. I mean, our audio team is part of it, our effects team is part of it, and we have coders that are working on doing nothing but optimizing different areas of the code to be able to make the game run better. Right. But what we're getting is 0.5% increases across the board. We're not getting a 50% increase to everybody's FPS. So when you spend 2 or 3 weeks working on an optimization pass and people get 3 or 4% more frame rate, they don't see that as these guys are taking it seriously. When we're working really, really hard on it. But this game does things that no other game on the planet does. And it's not bullshit. It really does. This game is tracking players and tracking projectiles and tracking vehicles and physics and all this stuff across massive areas. And it's a huge, huge, huge amount of work for your client to be doing to keep track of all that kind of stuff. So there's a reason there's not a lot of other games that have thousands of people fighting over one gigantic area. And it's because it doesn't run particularly well when it happens.
Right. So somebody just asked something in chat that is completely irrelevant to Jen constantly crashing her harasser over there. Somebody asked if you guys were considering some sort of roll cage add-on so that it would be a little more susceptible to falling on its roof.
That is a funny idea.
Yeah, maybe something you could pay for an upgrade.
It's something we've talked about.
Yeah. That'd be cool. Interesting. Have you guys
Sir
made
Kane
any?
has been spamming me with that.
Oh, I know an upgrade some people want is to make the shooting more stable when it's moving.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like have a cert upgrade that makes it stable. That'd be cool. I imagine really hard to make.
No, not really. I mean, we just need stabilized turrets. That's something we've been wanting to do for all of our secondary weapons for a long time. Mm-hmm. We also have been doing, again, a lot of optimization. We've optimized the way that some of our remote client vehicle coding works, which means that your computer is doing a little bit less interpolation math, which should help out when you see lots of vehicles around you. But that's also causing some people to see the vehicles like stuttering and being jittery. So it's obviously something that we need to continue working on getting it exactly right to where we get the best performance increases with the best end user experience. But those trade-offs are what we're making every single day around here to try to get more performance and better gameplay.
Yeah, I noticed that the other day after the patch, there was I'm assuming a bug, and I think you guys fixed it in the hotfix, where a lot of the aircraft were like shaking around, like bouncing.
Wobbling. They were wobbling.
It was the strangest thing I've ever seen. It's the first time I've used lock-on missiles in a while because I couldn't hit them otherwise. So
yeah, I mean those things are usually the result of us trying to squeeze out as much possible computational cycles as we can out of all of our interpolation code, things like that.
Right.
And all of that is just an attempt to try to get more performance out of the game.
Cool.
I was like, what's going on? Why are they wobbling all over the place? This can't be right.
Yeah, none of us could figure out what was happening. It was the
And I'm like, it's
thing.
probably, like, I wasn't getting shot down nearly as much, so it's probably happening across the board on all factions.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm pretty sure it was. So, an interesting issue that it was just weird, very strange. It's like they were in popcorn or something, just bouncing around. So.
Well, it was just because of the rate at which you were receiving updates out of. Compared to the rate at which the interpolation speed. So it caused them to kind of jump around in weird ways, right?
Yeah. The other thing I want to mention, too, and I'll mention it kind of at the end, but if you're not going to SOE Live this year, you should totally go. because you guys can talk about all this crazy stuff with Higby directly.
What is
There's
it?
some really-
SOElive.com or something like that?
Yes, it's nice. No, it's not SOElive.com. I think it's SOE.com/SOElive or something along those lines. So if you're anywhere near Vegas or anything and you're not going, then that's an epic fail. But otherwise, you should definitely try and come out to it. We should be there. And I know the ReachCast guys, I think most of you guys are going to be there, right?
Yep, that's the plan. I know I will be there. Torx will be there. Derringer's still kind of up in the air, I think, but he's working on it. We have kind of a plan. We'll be there.
A plan, you're going to abduct him, is what you're saying. You're going to, in the middle of the night, you're just going to throw him in the back of a van and just start driving to Vegas.
It's going to be like The Hangover Part 3.
That sounds like a win to me.
Oh, we want to see
ReachCast hangover journey.
Yeah.
if you can make your way out to Vegas and you have the money to do it. Sony's made it pretty reasonable lodging wise, and we want to see a big turnout for the PlanetSide 2 community.
Yeah. And if you're an EQ
Corner Higby.
If you're an EQ fan, you can see the official reveal of EQ Next apparently is going to happen this year too. So it's another thing you get to
Buy
see.
Higby enough drinks, maybe you'll get more information than we get out of it.
I'm gonna party, man. I need to blow off some steam.
Bring some
Nice.
cash. He likes to play Pai Gow.
Indeed.
Bring
So
some cash. We're playing Pai Gow, baby.
Pai Gow? What is that?
It's gambling. Yeah, it's Pai Gow, man. Pai Gow's.
I should have assumed. What am I thinking?
Yeah,
like,
man.
Of course it's gambling.
It's Vegas.
Vegas.
It's automatic, right? All
Pai
right.
Gow's my game.
Let's see here. Anybody else have any questions? Wow, I can't believe here we are on just about 15
Any
minutes
more-
or so left in the show, and nobody has anything that they want to talk about or bring up.
I actually have a question that I've been thinking about.
All right, we'll let you go
So-
first, and then it'll be Robo after that.
Oh, did I interrupt him? He raised his hand
No, it's
politely.
okay. You're already talking. Jerk.
So my question is, dealing with the new Max rocket launchers, is there a plan to make like the Pounder or the Comet, I think is what the VS one is? I don't know what the NC one is, Falcon or something maybe. Is there a plan to kind of like make those more viable? Because the way I feel right now is that they're a little clearly not as good. At least the Pounder.
I
They're a
disagree.
little clearly not as good.
The Pounder does not feel nearly as good as the thing I already can't remember the name of.
Yeah.
Fracture.
Fracture.
Yeah. I can agree with
I
that.
haven't used the Comet or the. It's Falcon, right? I don't.
Yeah.
remember. The
So the
NC
idea
one
with all of them is that the previous ones, I'll call them the AV V1 weapons, in general, should all provide better DPS and more alpha strike, more damage at close range. But they're basically going to be limited based on range by having slow projectiles. These other ones are much faster and able to kind of push out your damage a little bit further. These ones are really designed for more long range. And a big piece of this was feedback that we got from the Max, and one of the things that we really tried to do with the Max updates that we did, which actually ended up getting spread out over 2 updates so far, and are going to be a 3rd update because we still haven't done the damn abilities. So all of those things should have been one big Max update. But the thing that we were trying to solve with them is people felt too range limited when they were playing as a Max. There was only a certain small window that Maxes were really useful for, and it was different depending on which Empire. NC ones were clearly incredibly dominant at very close range. And the VS ones were a little bit better at sort of the long to medium range compared to the others, and then TR were somewhere in the middle. But what we wanted to do is make more range options be available. So from an AV perspective, those previous weapons, the Pounder and the Falcons, are very much close range killers, and they should still provide the best possible DPS. And especially in concert with the abilities that are coming out, those will be extremely useful for you to be able to use in, say, like a courtyard fight. If you're in an amp station and some vehicles come crashing through, combined with those abilities, you're going to be kicking ass with those close-range, high-damage weapons. But if you're kind of in the pre-courtyard fight phase of a facility fight, where you're still on the walls and pushing guys before they get there, the longer-range weapons are going to be a lot more viable. And that was sort of the intention there. I don't think that we're 100% there yet. I think that the new weapons are probably a straight upgrade in a lot of situations to those previous weapons, and we probably need to enhance all 3 of them. slightly to be able to get them to be better at close range DPS.
I feel like particularly with the Pounder is that its weight and slow projectile speed makes that arc huge, and just the skill level required to hit with it is higher than the thing I already, again, forgot the name of.
Fracture. I'll dub it in after with my own with my voice. It's better than that thing. Fracture.
I can't remember the name of that thing.
Yeah, I know. There's so many weapons in this game. Like, it was so easy to remember all the weapons in PlanetSide 1 because there weren't really that many. But in this game, there's just like a million weapons. I can never remember them all either. So.
Well, you also have to remember, too, with the new max abilities, like, the lockdown is going to improve the Pounder quite a bit, I think.
I hope so. Or it's going to make it worse.
It's going to pick up the projectile speed, hopefully.
I know at least for the VS Max, I actually use the Comet a lot for anti-infantry because it has splash damage, which the Vortex doesn't have. So like you can do a lot with the Comet that you can't do with the Vortex. The Vortex is really good at killing tanks at range, and that's all it's good at. But the Comet seems more like an all-around gun to carry in a field fight.
I'm telling you one thing. I'm in VR with these fractures, and I'm just mowing down the infantry with it.
Oh, they're so good.
Yeah, see, I haven't actually used the Fracture, so I can't make any judgment on the Fracture specifically, but the Vortex has no splash
I could
damage.
see myself going in with these dual Fractures in a tower and just taking out infantry.
Yeah, I
don't know if that's the intent or if it's going to... Because they're anti-vehicle, right?
Yeah,
it's harder when infantry are moving. I actually had to get used to leading them properly, but it can be done.
Yeah, I was mid-airing Reavers with it the other night. It was epic. Thing's awesome. I was in the back of a Harasser. It is an awesome weapon. All right, let's jump over to Robo. I know he's been waiting patiently over there. Go ahead, sir.
Thanks. Well, first, I love the Comet. I use the Comet a lot. Hold on.
Did you lose your own sound on that? He's awkwardly looking around. I think he lost his own sound.
Sorry, my headset randomly cuts off. Once in a while, it'll just be like beep and then not turn on for about 5 seconds. So my question is, do we have any plans? I know resource revamp is on the roadmap, and I know there's been some discussion about changing it and sort of improving it. But do we have any specifics? Do we have a sort of direction that the resource system is going to go in? Anything you could tell us would be fantastic, because I know a lot of people are discussing the resource system currently.
I can't give a specific. There's a couple different designs sort of on the table and circulating as to what to do with resources. I'm leaning in a certain direction right now, and I think that it'll provide a lot of things that players have been asking for, especially a lot of small group type gameplay, if we end up going in this direction. But it also is a pretty fundamental shift to the way that resources work right now. But yeah, there will definitely be more work done on resources. Resources will be made into a more something that you think about a lot more often. At least something that you are something that you're building strategies around a lot more than people are building strategies around them right now. So no matter what we do, that's the primary goal of what we do with the resource revamp. And depending on which one of the implementations we end up going with, it could be radically different in terms of the execution. So I don't want to really dig into it too much.
Right.
Oh, that's fine. That's no worries about that.
Work in progress type of design stuff.
Work in progress.
And if Higby says it, all of a sudden it's in stone on a wall somewhere.
You know what I was just noticing as I was being carted around with my Fracture Max on a Harasser is if they're backing up, you actually are shooting the vehicle. So even though you're shooting at something, it's damaging the vehicle you're in and not the vehicle you're shooting at. That might be
I saw there was a thread on Reddit about that the other day, talking about that.
Interesting.
Yeah, if I could make a request about the resource system, get creative with it, because I don't have any want to attack anything for resources. Resources just kind of meh. They're there. If you run out of resources, then it's like your cooldown timer and everything you started to reduce your cooldown timer means nothing if you run out of resources. But if you have a normal amount of resources, then it doesn't matter. There's no reason to do anything regarding resources. So throw out the system and design it from scratch, please.
Yeah,
I hear you.
I think one of the things that I know a lot of us have said, I've said it in a couple videos, is we want resources to be more tangible, is probably the best word to use. We want them to actually mean more and stuff like that. So that's kind of the big... I mean, that's what I want. I want to be able to deny resources or whatever and have it actually mean something. Because right now, like you just said, it's more of a inconvenience. It's more annoying than anything else. You're like, ugh.
It's an upkeep system right now. Upkeep systems are boring. Yeah.
It disables you from doing things disables you from doing normal stuff. It seems like the game is balanced around not having resources. So when you don't have resources, it just disables you from what the game is balanced to do.
Yeah.
So.
Well, one of the biggest challenges too with resources is making them too important. Suddenly means that if they can be extremely restricted extremely quickly. So if resources became something where it's like, oh shit, rather than an afterthought, it's the primary motivation, it could be a problem, because you could get warp gated, not have resources, and be unable to recover forever. And that can happen. It can happen right now. It doesn't really happen that often, but there's a potential there for it, and it's scary if it were to happen. So the more that we make resources very critical to your ability to succeed, the more we have to be really careful that the system is working really well, that it has lots of interplay, lots of ways to recover when you are super down on resources. And we have a lot of thoughts about that kind of stuff. But that's one of the reasons why this design is taking a while for us to do, is because it's so central and so critical to key core gameplay mechanics. If I suddenly can't get vehicles because the resource system's is sucky, then the game breaks. Yeah. So what we have right now, in terms of a very loose kind of it almost doesn't matter resource system, I would rather have the it almost doesn't matter resource system that doesn't break the game than a really restricted one that did.
Right.
I just kind of realized the other day was you guys could probably just completely remove the resource system tomorrow, just completely remove it, and I don't think it would change the balance of the game at all. All the
thing that you would notice the difference on is infantry consumables more than anything else.
Yeah, but I mean, infantry is still balanced around the fact that you only have one grenade or two grenades if you start into it. You only have one stick or two sticks of C4, and it's not like you. I haven't ever run out of stuff now that you guys have added a working auto resupply, because I always have what I need. So I never run out of infantry resources. I don't have to bank my stuff and then go, oh, I just bought 7 sticks of C4 and I can't buy a grenade. So I instantly have what I need.
Yeah.
I'd never really go below 30 or 35 of items, because I just stock it up when I respawn.
Yeah, I do that, yeah. That's how I do it. I just fill it up every time, or at the end of a night I just burn out all my resources and buy, all the consumables that I use for the night or whatever. So I think there's both sides of the fence on that. Some of us keep at the top and the other ones use auto resupply, but either way, it almost never makes a whole lot of difference. The only time I notice it is when I can't pull a vehicle. That's the only time that I really notice it. So,
which is very rare.
Yeah, very rare.
Mm-hmm.
We have some people in my outfit that have the max timer inserted, so that they can always pull vehicles when they want to, and they just get really frustrated when they run out of resources, because it's like they spent 1,500 certs on this entire chain, and now they can't use it. So
yeah, absolutely. Cool. All right, so we've got about a little less than 10 or so minutes, probably, before we'll wrap it up. I saw one question that showed up in the chat or more of a request than anything, that I definitely agree with. You guys just added all the customizations for the colors to the map and stuff. One more category for HUD items. That's what we need. I'd like to be able to customize my HUD separately from the map and separately from the icons above people's head, personally. And I know that was somebody else's suggestion in the chat too, so that would be cool to see.
So basically, like the kill spam and things like that.
No, more the HUD icons themselves for the capture points. I'd like to be able to toggle them separately, so that, because I would prefer friendly versus enemy on those, but on the map I want to be able to see the Empire colors, not friendly versus enemy.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Because I changed it to friendly versus enemy the other night, and the whole map was red, and I was like, TR. Oh wait, no, never mind.
Yeah. You got really hopeful, didn't
Yeah,
you?
I was really excited, and then I just realized that we were losing.
I'm in the enemy warp gate. How's this happening?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that would be my other. That would be a request, and I think that would be an awesome tweak. And the UI has been getting better and better. I think everybody will agree that all the little improvements here and there have been really starting to help out and clean things up and make it so you can customize a lot more for your own taste. So.
Yeah, I mean, adding more and more of that kind of player ability to customize the UI and change what things. I want a control panel for the map where I can turn off all kinds of different shit. I don't want to see infantry terminals on the map. I don't want to see the vehicle terminals on the map. I know where the vehicle terminals are. I don't need to see them,
Right, exactly.
So allowing people to toggle those things on and off, or be able to manage the opacity on them on a per icon type basis, all that sort of configuration stuff is definitely on our list of things to do.
Cool. All right, so I guess the way we'll wrap this up is we will totally turn the tables on Higby and see if he has any questions for us, or the chat out there, or anything like that. Anything that you would like to ask us?
The community.
The community.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I kind of asked a little bit earlier. I'd love to get feedback from people about how the changes recently to the infantry weapons are feeling, especially from those of you guys who play like one class and use the certain type of weapon all the time. I mean, did we screw anything up? Did we make the weapons actually feel like they felt better for the roles? I mean, somebody earlier said that it was awesome that we had the downside now on forward grip, which I agree with too. Everything should have downsides and upsides. But yeah, I would love to hear feedback about that.
Cool. Personally, I play the infiltrator with an SMG 98% of the time when I'm not in an aircraft, and I honestly feel pretty good about it. I don't feel like it broke anything, or I don't feel like it made it worthless or anything. I felt like I had a little too much range on it before, which is a strange thing to say. I felt like I was able to kill a little bit better than I should have been able to. Most of what I did before was pretty close range anyway, but overall I'm pretty happy with it. I use the Armistice myself, and I have no complaints. Anybody else in the chat or in the channel? Roy? You guys are pointing at each other, but it's always different. It's different for everybody here who you're pointing at. So I'm like, oh, he's pointing at. So Robo is pointing at nothing just then. Go ahead.
The max changes for the VS Max are excellent. I used to play Max almost exclusively in PlanetSide 1, and so I was really sad that the VS Max was kind of bad. Like there was only one gun that was useful, and it really wasn't that good. So now it's really, really good, and I have enjoyed it immensely. I haven't noticed anything else on the other weapons. I don't feel like they're different too much, which is a good thing, but they all feel more balanced. Pump shotguns still need a nerf, but
yeah, when I saw that we were going to be doing these kind of sweeping changes, scared the shit out of me, I'll be quite honest, because you never know what's going to happen with those types of sweeping across-the-board changes. But overall, I mean, I don't feel like it ruined anything or made anything.
Dude, I'll be honest with you, I was fucking sweating bullets about those changes.
I'm sure.
And it's just because some tiny little changes sometimes really affect the way that people play. And the way that we actually went about making those changes is we looked at which weapons people weren't using, and we figured out ways to make them more useful. And we took the ones that people were using the most and figured out why they were being used the most and made sure that they were correctly tuned to be in line with all the rest of the weapons. So whenever you do something like that where you're looking at, okay, everybody's using this particular gun, let's make a big change to it to make it a little bit less of a one-size-fits-all gun.
Right.
It's scary, dude. It's scary.
Yeah, I mean, it really scared me, and I mean, I don't really have anything to lose by it, but it really did scare the hell out of me when I saw it, because any time you just do kind of an across-the-board thing, I mean, anything could happen. It could be just a complete disaster, or it could be successful. So, and I'm noticing a lot of different types of feedback in the chat too, so I'm sure you're seeing that as well. I won't read it all out because there's quite a bit of things.
Go to the PSU forums and
yes.
post and I don't know if there's probably a thread. I'm sure
there probably is, but yeah, post your thoughts on the new weapon balance and what you think about it.
Higby
Reddit,
always reads,
PSU, everywhere. So
I'm always lurking on the boards.
Yeah, we see you lurking.
Yeah, we see you lurking. And anybody who's been to an event that Higby's been at can back that up. Anytime I look at his computer that he's sitting at or whatever, he's always looking at like PSU or Reddit or something. So he's always looking at it. He's not just messing around with you guys when he comes on here. So, anybody else in the panel have any comments on the new weapon balance stuff?
I like the negative sides that were added, like the foregrip. I like the how the swap times were increased for the smaller weapons. I like the LMGs. It feels like it, at least. I feel like I read that. And then I like how the LMGs don't get that vertical recoil reduction with the foregrip. I think that was a very good balance change, because I feel like I noticed fewer heavies out there last night when I was playing. It wasn't just like 80% heavy.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing randomly. Somebody's like, can we have Higby's hair as a helmet that we can buy?
You got to talk to Trammell, man. He's the one who doesn't want to do it.
He's been trying forever now to get it in the game, and T-Ray just won't do it.
I'd say give the people what they want, but Trammell says, nope. Nope.
I picture like a Lego type of hair that you just clip on the top of your head, when you're playing.
That's how it'll look.
It'd be hilarious. It would be wrong, but hilarious at the same time. And
that would be fantastic.
I think it would be. All right, so I didn't see anybody else raise their hand. So, Robo's raising his hand. He's raising both hands. Go ahead. And we don't.
And muted.
Complete silence. Those headphones are evil. It's kind of mean.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Can you hear me
I
now?
can hear you now. As I keep you on the screen to mess around with your headphones.
Thanks. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Something I forgot to mention before, I really like the unique sounds for the Phoenix and the Raven, and I would love to see more of that. I like being able to hear something and know exactly what weapon it is.
We're doing
firing at me. It's awesome. It's awesome.
We're doing a pretty major sound pass actually right now. This is something. Sorry, I'm completely interrupting what you were talking about with something.
No, that's
different. But we're doing a big sound pass for VS weapons specifically to try to make them sound a little bit cooler.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping maybe next week.
Thank you.
We'll get some of the videos that we have up on YouTube so that you guys can hear some of the options, because we have here's 6 different potential sound effects for assault rifles, and the idea is. From a sound design perspective, what we're trying to do is get them to sort of still have the amount of bass and kick and impact that the other weapons have, so they sound a little bit more thud, but also give them some kind of ethereal, alien-sounding kind of reverb sounds. Not necessarily 1950s sci-fi style sounds, but kind of more modern sci-fi sounds where it's a little bit kind of, I don't recognize that. It sounds alien. It sounds intimidating and scary, And the sound designers have done just a fucking phenomenal job on creating these different kind of sound palettes to be able to use for the VS weapons, and I'm really excited to be able to get feedback from players about which ones they like the most, because they run the gambit between sounding like kind of your typical energy weapon to sounding more kind of like you hear crackling electricity in them to sounding more like whoa, 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 like having that deep kind of throbbing electronic sound to it. So there's lots of different kind of tones in there that I think people will be really stoked on.
Yeah. I'm excited for that. That sounds fantastic.
Cool. Yeah, because the SMG just sounds way better than every other VS gun we have. So
yeah. I always think of the lasher when I think of a VS weapon, and it just sounds, I don't know why, it's just like a weird, like a thump, 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 thump. I'm like, what the hell? Oh, that's a lasher. It's just a really weird sounding type of gun, and I remember the lasher in PlanetSide 1 was extremely, you knew exactly what that was. PlanetSide 2, you do know what it is, but it doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't evoke that same response from me. It's just like, oh, listen to that thing, that's hilarious. Look at him, he's shooting at me at range with it. What an idiot. So it's like, doesn't it? I don't know.
There's a disco party nearby.
Yeah,
I should go join.
Yeah,
Exactly.
It's
well, we all know.
Mattherson, Lasher Kits.
Yeah.
Well, the original Lasher sound in PlanetSide 1 struck fear into anyone who wasn't on the other side of it.
Yeah, well, it was pretty hardcore in PlanetSide 1, especially during some points in time.
Good. It was just good.
Yeah. I would run away. I wouldn't go down the hallway if I heard it.
Most of us would.
Glorious days.
I miss the original Pulsar sound.
Ooh.
I loved that weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish this thing had better sound fidelity, or I'd play some of these files for you guys. I don't think they would translate very well. I don't even know if you'd be able to hear them.
Yeah, probably.
What?
Yeah, I don't think you can hear it very well. You're just going to hear it sound. It's just going to sound like a machine gun because you can't hear the undertones.
Yeah. Yeah, we would need to input the audio in some way if it was going to come out better, for sure.
Yeah.
This sound pass, is it affecting all VS weapons, especially the Nebula?
Well, we're going to be going through basically all of them and giving them new sound profiles. Yeah.
If I may make a suggestion, make the Nebula sound less like a pop, 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 like right now, and more like, as you know, something that brings death and destruction to enemies. Because that's what I'm doing with it.
Dude, nebulas are so strong right now.
Yeah, they are brilliant.
I'm going to make it sound like somebody blowing their nose just for you, Basti.
I absolutely don't care. You just need to know I'm coming for them.
I don't care if I'm burying my enemy underneath just a huge pile of snot. That doesn't make any difference to me.
Please don't. I use nebulas too. I don't want to hear people blowing their nose.
All right.
That would be pretty funny. All right, so let's go ahead and unless anybody else has any final thoughts. Yes, no, no, yes, yes, no, none. Okay. This has come up like 1,000 times in the chat, so we should at least ask it before we finish out the show. But any update on what might be happening with Hossin? Any sneak peeks? Any thoughts coming up on that?
Yeah, it's going to be really cool. You guys should start being able to see the first glimpses of Hossin sometime in the next few weeks here. But we're really taking our time with it. It does some things that I think we've really learned. We've learned a lot about what works and what doesn't work for a combined arms game. And some of the things we're doing with Hossin I think will make you guys extremely happy. For instance, dome shields, etc.
I saw those.
What?
In the files.
What about the 4-month delay talked about earlier? Was it like a month ago? It was like a month ago, I think.
What about it?
The 4-month delay?
Yeah. There was something about this.
Well, it became unscheduled, right? That was what happened on the road.
Yeah, I mean, we still have people working on it. We haven't ever stopped working on Hossin. One of the big components of Hossin is the interlink facility, and that's one of the things that's we're spending a lot more time on is the interlink facility specifically. Hossin itself is a continent, and the flow of Hossin and most of the outposts on Hossin are pretty far along right now. Not too far away from being able to be shown and played. So I think you guys will start seeing, we'll probably have it on test like in the next maybe 2 to 3 months. You'll be able to see it, but I can't really make any promises, and we want it to be really, really, really high quality, so we're taking our time with it, not trying to rush it.
Are the other continents going to get interlink facilities by chance?
Yes.
Replace the crown with it?
Put it up on the hill.
Seriously, just bomb the crown.
We'll be popping a couple of facilities off of each one of the continents to be able to put interlinks onto.
Very
nice.
Good. Awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
Some secret new details everybody just learned. That's pretty cool. I'm excited to see that. The interlink makes a return. Hopefully it's not called the inner farm anymore.
I hope
we have the biofarm now.
Yeah, we have the biofarm. We don't need another farm. We don't need the inner farm for sure. All right, cool. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and start winding things down now. So Jennyboo and I are going to be pretty darn busy for the next month or so. I don't know if we'll see another one of these before July, to be honest. I hope to be able to do one next month, but not certain if we'll be able to do it yet. We're traveling home to see family. She's traveling home to see family, and then we're going to MLG again. So it's going to be a very busy next month or so. So we will try and do one in June, but I'm not entirely certain if we will be able to. Are you going to be at the next MLG as well, Matt?
I think so.
Awesome.
Yep.
Cool.
I'm excited.
Isn't that Anaheim?
Anaheim, yep. It's
California.
Anaheim, yeah.
So anybody?
It'll be right after E3.
Yeah. Anybody interested in meeting some of the developers? Check out the MLG website for their details on their Anaheim show, and
yeah, absolutely.
Get a chance. I'm sure though. I don't know that you probably don't know all the developers or Sony employees going, but it's in California, so I imagine you'll have quite the showing.
Yeah, they'll just have to hop in the car and drive up there. So hopefully we'll be able to see a lot of devs out there. But if you're out in that area, definitely make it a point to come out there and check it out. I don't know if they have anything up on the website yet for MLG Anaheim. They usually are. It takes them a while to get those things out on the MLG website for some reason. So I don't know if anything's up there yet, but that's where it's going to be. So if you're in that area, be sure to come by. I think Sardis said he was going to come by from TRG, and there's quite a few PlanetSide 2 players that are out in California. So hopefully we'll get a cool turnout, have some fun out there, and
get a chance to meet some people from the community. It's always good.
Absolutely, meet some folks.
If you've never had a chance to go to a competitive gaming event too, it's actually really interesting. It's very cool.
Yeah, it is very neat. I had never been to one until when was that one we went to last year? I think it was in
Dallas.
October. I don't remember which month it was in, but it was the first one that I had been to, and it's a pretty neat experience. Seeing there's a lot happening kind of all the time. And I actually got a chance last time finally to sit down and watch a couple of things that were going on, and they were pretty interesting to watch. I'm not a big fan of StarCraft or a big fan of League of Legends. Those are kind of the big ones that are going on. But they are fun to watch, though, to kind of get up there and see everybody getting really excited about them. And they're very interesting to watch. And
Really?
I definitely recommend coming out and checking it out if you're out in the area for sure.
If you're tired and want to take a nap, go watch League of Legends.
Yeah, screw League of Legends.
The crowd doesn't even cheer; they just sit there silently, like.
I love StarCraft, man. I watch StarCraft all the time. Anybody who follows me on Twitter, and the couple hundred of you that unfollow me on Twitter every weekend when there's a StarCraft tournament know how much I like StarCraft.
StarCraft is exciting. The crowd gets into it. League of Legends is. The crowd doesn't even cheer. They just sit there and kind of watch it, and then you're like, oh, well, both teams are colliding. I wonder what's going to happen.
I blame League of Legends for that. Dota is way more interesting to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll definitely vouch for that. I mean, I noticed that the StarCraft crowd was definitely getting into it way more than any of the other. Well, the Black Ops folks were getting quite a bit into it as well.
They cheered.
They were pretty close to us at the last event, so they got into it, but not as much as the StarCraft folks do. So definitely come out if you can, and of course SOE Live's coming up in August, and we're hoping to be able to do some AGN stuff from there, so stay tuned for that. Still waiting to finalize some stuff, and we're hoping to be able to get a discount for those of you who register for SOE Live that are members of PSU. We should be able to do a discount for you guys. We're just kind of working out the details on that. It tends to take a little while to get all that fancy stuff finalized. So anyway, anybody have any final thoughts that they want to say before we kind of wrap up the show here? Wow, nobody. Awesome. Cool.
I do.
You do? All right.
If you're looking for a TR outfit on Watterson, check out DragonWolves.com.
Shameless plug.
Yeah.
What?
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug.
Because TR are the best empire.
What?
I concur with that.
Out. Both of you.
I'm allowed to do shameless plugs. I've done my
I
time.
played with Ghosts of the Revolution a couple weeks ago, and they're a lot of fun. I'm gonna help plug them.
Nice.
Robo there.
Awesome. His headphones are probably broken again.
Yeah.
Yeah, there he goes. Evil
Hair
headphones.
all over my mouth.
It's all that superior Vanu technology, right?
This is Logitech. The Manite systems of the real world. Closing comments. One question. I don't want to bring in the whole driver gunner thing for the tanks, but I will say that we've definitely been enjoying the driver gunner mechanic of the Harasser and the rumble seat. Are you guys seeing other vehicles? I think there's been rumors of a 5-man half-track heavy light assault. I don't know what to call it, like a deliverer in PS1, I guess, except heavier. A lot of players are liking the driver gunner mechanic, where the driver's dedicated and the gunner's gunner. I know the MBTs themselves are kind of in their role right now, and I'm totally okay with them staying that way for now, at least. But we are liking the driver gunner mechanic, the dedicated roles of the new vehicles the new vehicle that came out. So, are you guys going to stick with that for at least the newer vehicles?
I'm not 100% sure. We might be making more single-person vehicles. We might be making more team play vehicles. I think immediately on the horizon is probably refreshes for the existing vehicles, similar to what we did for the Max. Add a couple extra weapons, give them a couple new abilities, things like that. But there was a really good thread on Reddit the other day talking about ideas for new vehicles, and there were some great suggestions in it too. So we're looking through that and figuring out what we can do to try to satisfy some of those suggestions.
Fantastic.
Cool. Awesome. All right. It's like the Phantasm scrolls past 75,000 times in
right.
chat. I don't know why everybody liked that damn thing so much. I was never a big fan of it. I don't know why everybody wants it so much.
It was quick
I would say,
and stealthy.
Yeah.
I would say for the Phantasm, you should look towards what we did with the Wraith in PS2. If we ever put a Phantasm in the game, it'll be a lot closer to that, with a base vehicle that you could make play the role of a Phantasm rather than a dedicated Phantasm vehicle. So take that however you want, but that might be something that you see at some point.
Cloaking Galaxy?
Please.
Yeah.
Well, we
I
had
want a small transport.
We had a Cloaking Galaxy when there was that bug once. That was pretty cool. Because it didn't really count though. Yeah,
That bug was awesome.
I could see that. A cloaking mosquito. That would be boss. All right. Okay, everybody. So thanks for tuning in here today. I'll go ahead and wrap it up because we could talk here for like 17 hours straight probably about stuff. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in here today to another episode of AGN Squad Beacon.
Thank you to Matt Higby for coming on the show and taking his time out of his very limited time I'm sure he gets away from the office.
Indeed. Absolutely. Thanks for
I
coming
actually
on.
don't. I lost the key to my office door, so I've been in here for a while. That's why Cesar had to get me that burrito.
He rappels out the window and he dropped the rope, so now Cesar had to go
He's
get
like
that.
my jailer.
Yeah. I like how the whole April 1st thing is still going on in your office too. That's pretty awesome.
That shows how much free time I have. I haven't even been able to clean this shit up yet.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We hope to do another one of these in the future, hopefully next month. No promises. Going to be pretty busy, but we'll definitely try and do another one of these. And be sure to tune in to the folks on ReachCast Show for their show that comes up weekly.
ReachCastShow.com.
Absolutely.
Keep your eye on the Twitch/AGN TV channel as well. We do other content other than the Squad Beacon, so keep your eye out on that. And what else? Oh, shout out to Hamma's mom, because I always do that.
Hi, Mom. How you doing out there? And also shout out to T-Ray, who got married today, and shout out to Torx, who also got married this weekend.
Week. Mm-hmm.
This week.
Yes, indeed.
Thursday.
Gentlemen, condolences.
Nice.
Spoken like a true married man.
Exactly, yeah.
So someone said they were going to give him like a 21-gun salute. Torx, at least.
Nice. That's
It's
awesome.
like, isn't that for death? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and we will catch you next time. You guys have a good one.